Hey, it's in the pop culture news freak here once again, aka Worried guys and wrestlers for just chill. Oh man, Odyssey, BitChute writing, and of course as always on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, mine just in case you can't, was shadow banned, deleted, destroyed, terminated, what have you. Anyways, yeah, I know I'm a little bit almost 3 days late with this thing. I would have uploaded it tonight as I'm doing this on a Sunday, but it's probably gonna be up Monday, so you get two videos in one instead of just one video because by the time you see this video, it's either gonna be before or after I've had my reaction review segment for freaking finally, after like 6-7 months, the chick Vivzy pop. Finally, thank freaking God. I was waiting so freaking long. I don't even know if she was didn't even put it on YouTube anymore. Maybe she was just gonna put it all on HBO Max or Netflix or Apple TV Plus or Amazon Plus. But Vivzy pop finally put the season 2 episode 3 for freaking Hell of a Boss. So you probably saw it already. If you hadn't, I'll leave the link in the description box down below, or it's on the card tab on the side just in case you guys are wondering where it is. I know I'm like gonna be 3 or 4 days late on that thing because it was on a Saturday when they uploaded it. So there's that. It's probably like 4, 5, 7 million views. Might be 10 million views by the time I'm done with this video. I don't know. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Those side little things I was gonna talk a little bit about. Not that much huge, ginormous news going on besides this. I mean, besides what's it called? There's a little bit of news with what was it called? Oh yeah, there's another third or fourth trailer that they made for the live action Little Mermaid. There's that one. I'll talk about that maybe at the end of the video. I doubt if I'm gonna get to it though. And what else? Be it. There was probably something else I was gonna talk about, but I just can't remember on the top of my head right now. But anyways, the Sonys Word that Microsoft will sabotage Call of Duty for PlayStation. This comes from Tom Warren from The Verge. So God, it's been for so freaking long. The last time I read from The Verge, probably been like 4 or 5 months, more or less. So I'm not reading the whole entire article. It's a little bit lengthy, so there's that. So let's jump right into it already. Sony has laid off its concerns about Microsoft's proposed acquisitions of Activision Blizzard, including a host of fears about the future of the Activision's Call of Duty franchise and new documents submitted to the UK's Competition and Markets Authority, CMA. Sony says it is worried about Microsoft could raise the price for Call of Duty, making it only available on its Xbox Game Pass subscription services, and even strategically, in the incidental degrade of the quality and performance of the Call of Duty for PlayStation. Sony cites a specific hypothetical situation where Microsoft could release Call of Duty games on the PlayStation that has bugs and errors on the final level. Here are the Sony's examples in full. So I guess the CEO Jim Ryan was the one that came up with this, or somebody else. I don't know. So it says Microsoft might release a PlayStation version of Call of Duty where bugs and errors emerge only on the game's final level or after later, or the updates. Yeah, later updates. Even if the degradations, hopefully I'm saying it right. I think the graduations, I don't even know how you fucking say that word, whatever. I'm not professional anyways. I think is degradation. So there we go. Could be swiftly detected. Any remedy would likely come too late, by which the gaming title, which time the gaming community will have lost confidence in PlayStation as a go-to venue to play Call of Duty instead. As Modern Warfare 2 attests, Call of Duty is most often purchased in just a few weeks for the release. It later became, if it became known that the game's performance on the PlayStation was worsened than on Xbox, Call of Duty gamers could decide to switch to Xbox for fear of playing in their favorite game at a second-class or less competitive venue. So yeah, I guess that's what Sony's a little sweating in their seats, a little bit in the fucking hot seat because I don't know, maybe Microsoft might have better performance on their Xbox Series X or S for the next Call of Duty, which honestly I wouldn't be surprised if. Remember, a lot of people always forget that Microsoft was originally like a PC company that were mainly always about internet and line access all the time. And they were going to be way more better for internet performances compared to what Sony did, because obviously Sony started off as I think they started off as a music company, and then after that they were a movie company, and then TVs, then phones, and headphones, and all that shit. And then they started doing video games in the mid-late 90s, early 2000s, all the way up to now in almost the mid-2020s. They've come a long way since then. Now they're doing VR now. It's fucking wild, but let's move on. It's uneasy ambiguous whether this would be an international damage or a, quote, plays best on Xbox, unquote, scenario where the Microsoft's close ties of Call of Duty will make it better than on the platform, but more broadly, Sony fears that Microsoft might strategically try to sabotage. We read this all part already on the first part. It's not entirely surprised that Sony would be concerned about Microsoft's prioritizing Call of Duty on its own Xbox platform and ignoring the new Sony hardware features. Both companies have been battling it out for the Call of Duty rights for years, with the executive exclusive skins, bonuses, and packs for all parts of strategies for both companies and entire console gamers onto their platforms. And also goes on to say, it is unlikely that Microsoft would intentionally sabotage Call of Duty PlayStation bugs. While that might make it PlayStation console look bad, it is far more likely to generate backlash for Activision and Microsoft instead. Okay, and then Blizzard too, of course, they're both together now. They've been like that for 2.5 years, I think. Let's move forward. The reality could be, for a more subtle, Microsoft and Activision may eventually prioritize bug fixings on a Xbox version of the game because the developers are simply far more familiar with the platform. Issues fixing could be quicker on the Xbox. There are a whole lot of other reasons to expand the Call of Duty game, meaning advantages and subtleties. Advantages on the Xbox. Okay, I'm gonna stop it over here, and I'm done after that. Lots of opinions. Sony is also worried that Microsoft is keeping Call of Duty and Xbox Game Pass, not letting any Sony offers the title on its own PlayStation Plus services. Conversely, it is only filing to the CMF or CMA. Microsoft says any COD game in the Microsoft multiple game subscription is eligible for inclusion for Sony's multi-game subscription services on the same time and for same durations. Now I want to keep reading a little bit more. Sony clearly isn't happy licensing terms and price since the document has heavily redacted, but Sony says that the terms would, quote, commercially be destroyed Sony Interactive Entertainment, multiple subscriptions business model, unquote. Microsoft has offered Sony a 10-year deal on Call of Duty for the PlayStation. The PlayStation makers have not yet signed a licensing agreement. Microsoft has revealed to sign a binding 10-year agreement with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo platforms just hours before a key meeting with the EU regulators last month. Microsoft then announced that a similar deal with Nvidia hours later in an attempt to pressure Sony into agreeing with the similar terms. Okay, I think after these two I'm done. I was also going to say Microsoft, I just read that, maybe I didn't. Here it is. Yeah, has not shown any real commitment to reaching negotiations of the outcome. Not surprised that they did, because there's $1 million businesses at the end of the day. They only look at each other's own backs, not everyone else's. But I digress, let's continue. It says Sony is in its CMA filing. It says, quote, they have dragged their feet, engaged only with the sense of regulatory outlooks was darkening, favored negotiating the media over engaging with the SIE, Sony, I forgot what it was, Sony International Interactive Entertainment, I think that's what it was. Also, it says Sony is likely referring to the details of Microsoft's proposed deal to The Verge revealed in last year's polling Sony, in which PlayStation chief Jim Ryan, CEO of Sony, label says, quote, inadequate and on many levels, unquote. Ryan also said at the time that he, quote, hasn't intended to comment on whether I understood to be a private business discussion, but I feel we need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer brought this into the public forum. Oh, it's throwing shade a little bit at CEO Big Daddy Phil Spencer, bro. Oh man, some Xbox fans ain't gonna like that shit, but whatever. CMA documents were filed last month and made publicly today, just weeks after the British regulators warned of potential harms to gamers and offered up the possible remedies that included Microsoft being forced to sell off Activision Blizzard business associated with the Call of Duty series. And then I'm going to stop it here for sure. You guys can read the rest on your own if you want. It's only 3 paragraphs I skipped, but let's move on. Sony agrees with the CMA's initial findings and pushes it to address its own concerns through structural remedies like selling Call of Duty. CMA is currently analyzing 3 million Microsoft and Activision documents for more than 2,100 emails from the public, according to Sony's remedies notices. The UK regulators is considering to respond to its potential remedies before a final ruling about the acquisitions is due by April 26th. So they got like a good month and week and a half, a month and 2 weeks before the shit goes through. right before summer starts too, like 2.5 months. It's already barely almost the beginning of spring soon. Alright, overall thoughts and opinions real quick. Honestly, I don't care what happens to it. Like I said before, I say it again, I've never really been a hardcore Call of Duty person. I mean, I know I heard about this like a week, almost a month ago, 3.5 weeks earlier, when I think it was like Activision Blizzard and then Microsoft wanted to make deals with Nvidia and Nintendo to like make sure that they're, I guess, sharing the rights and the licensing agreement to Call of Duty and shit. Because I remember, I think it was in Treyarch Studios. They're the original owners, I think, that created the whole Call of Duty franchise in the first place. It wasn't for them, that whole series would never exist. Period. Back when I was like 14, 15, 2003, 2004, way back in the day. Back in my junior year of like middle school before I was high school. It's funny because I went to like my sophomore year when I heard more about Call of Duty and Halo. That's when it really started blowing up in popularity and fame. I will say this, man. I mean, it's freaking Nintendo, and you know how stingy as fuck Nintendo is when it comes to money. Like, even if they're agreeing to that contract, and Sony's backpedaling like a motherfucker because they're too scared or a little nervous that their whole IP franchise is going to screw up because they're scared that Microsoft and the other two, Blizzard Activision, can take it away from them. Because they're scared they're not going to get as much money, not going to make as much sales for the PS5, PS5 Pro that comes out later on, I don't know, maybe another year or two. And then eventually the PlayStation 6 in like 5, 6 more years from now, I don't know. I really don't know what to say about it. I guess it's up in the air. I know it depends on what that new CEO, the Sony of America, because I don't know CEO of Japan for Sony. It's still the Yoshida Ushiway dude or somebody else, some other Japanese dude or whoever owns the CEO for Sony Japan, the video game division side of it. So there's that. So, yeah, it is what it is. Honestly, I'm not really sure how they're going to do it. But however they decide to make those decisions, that's, I guess, it's Mr. Head Honcho's. It's, I guess, the last word goes to Jim Ryan. He's the one that's pretty much the judge, jury, and executioner. Pretty much the one that has the last word of this decision. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. Oh, there's another little thing I wanted to talk about. Not too extremely huge, but this is pretty wild because had to do with DC, I guess, comics and then DC movies. But it said Warner Bros is gonna end up selling DC properties. I heard something about for Netflix or something, but now selling it to Amazon Prime. So, oh man, Warner Bros and DC, man, it's not looking good for you guys. I'm just saying. Even though I'm gonna watch Shazam: Fury of the Gods this week, but it is what it is. On Friday, of course. That's it. That's all I say for now. On here. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen. Those who know boys and fingers, talking woodies. I'll see you guys later. Good night, wherever you're in. Dive 6 movies, including once a week or twice out, 3 times out of the week. Video game industry news and months, which is your dramas, especially Elon Musk news, and of course, reaction review segments like the one you saw earlier today or the one you saw after this video. Peace out, myself, out, lazy mice, and flip side, take it easy. Don't take the jab or the, any of the creepy nanobots, hydrogels, and that's it. Later. Goodbye. Later. No.